And we're live. Hello.
Sweet. Sorry about that, you guys. We're having some technical difficulties. Health coaches necessarily aren't always the most technologically inclined, but hopefully you guys will be able to find us here. Sorry about that. Are you hearing the feedback?
I just had it open in another page and it started playing because we went live. So sorry about that.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So, well, why don't we, while we're waiting for people to tune in, I kind of gave a little bit of a brief overview of the topic and how our unexpressed emotions have both had a serious impact in our own health. So why don't you just kind of start off with like who you are and what you do, and just lead in with your own experience with your emotions and how this has kind of affected you.
All right. Well, my name is Aga, and I'm a holistic health coach today. And basically, my whole life of very poor health is what led me here today. What made me fascinated with like what really does it take to be healthy? You know, I experimented with diets, but then again, I would get sick. I would develop food intolerances and digestive issues, and we all know how stress can impact us on a negative level, and we're inundated with stress this, stress that, but we don't really talk about emotions. If you don't process grief, if you live in a state of fear, if you're constantly angry or jealous, like these are very real emotions too that impact our health. And so my journey, started with food, like all of our journeys. And then we soon began to realize like we are not just these physical beings. There's something deeper here that needs to be addressed. And the more I began to take a look at my health in these deeper levels, I began to see that my unexpressed emotions would always cause a health issue, from little digestive issues to something like pink eye, even like a candida infection, or my most recent huge skin issue. And that's why today I'm so excited to talk about emotions, to help you guys navigate through emotions and, let that shit go, because it is really holding you down. It's making you sick and keeping you sick if you're not addressing these emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely resonate with that with my own skin journey. I know I've talked a lot about it because it was so relevant for me. I was doing all the right things, like you said, like I've been studying health for the last 7 years. I was eating all the things. I wasn't having an inflammatory diet. And I was doing so much to the point to where it was almost driving me crazy. It's like you're trying to do all the right things, and for some reason you still can't find the missing link. And of course, as we both know, in our own desire to go on the holistic route, we go to doctors, we go to specialists, and for some reason nobody's actually giving us the cure. And then we are even trained in this knowledge, and yet still there's like, why are we having these skin issues? What is the deal? And for me, I really believe that it came down to my gut instinct, right? I was living out of fear and I wasn't listening to my gut instinct. And I knew that where I was physically, geographically speaking, and what I was doing and how I was moving and the decisions I was making in my life was not necessarily aligned with myself, with my highest and best self, but my mind was keeping me there based on fear of not enough, or these preconditioned, ideas and self-limiting beliefs that we have. And so this is very, very prevalent, and I'm so happy that we were able to kind of talk about it. And now we're giving this chat so that other people can begin to understand that if they're not able to heal themselves from, hopefully the medicine that, the doctors provide, and then hopefully maybe they go to natural sources. And if they still are trying to do everything right, but yet for some reason can't quite find the missing solution, we can kind of trace it back and give some people some ideas of self-healing and self-care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when it comes to healing, it's like we don't have to wait until all physical solutions stop working, because it's not segregated. We're not different boxes of beings. We are a holistic being. We are physical. So yes, we constantly need nutrients. We are emotional. Yes, emotions feed us. We need love. We are also mental. Our thoughts, our mind perpetuate and create feelings and emotions. We're also energetic beings, bioelectromagnetic beings, constantly releasing energy fields, pulling in energy fields, pulling in prana, pulling in light from the sun. It's like all these layers on top of one another. So the more you can say you have a health problem that comes up in the physical, from all the different avenues that you can attack this issue, or not attack, but love and accept and release this issue, like the quicker you're going to heal if you apply like light therapy, clean water, clean thoughts, self-love. So yeah, let's dig right into it. Let's ask this question. What is emotion? Like, we can't see it. It's kind of like in our heads. Oftentimes it's very people always say like, don't be so emotional, or oh, women are so emotional. They're being emotional is this bad thing lately. Society has told us, walk down the street, have a face that's like a mask, and don't be too angry because you're crazy. Don't laugh and giggle because you're crazy. Don't cry walking down the street because you're crazy. It's like, when is there a good time to feel these emotions? And also, there's never a convenient time to be emotional, right? So we've learned to suppress and hold like so deep this emotion that, even we're not aware of what emotions we're feeling, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that speaks a lot to the fact that even the stereotypes of like the fact that you shouldn't express your emotion because expressing your emotion makes you weak, or it makes you vulnerable, or it makes you, whatever, especially in the masculine energy. I think a lot of the men today deal with, it's okay for women to express their emotions, even though like that's also a stigmatism, because it's like, oh, women are just emotional, and that's kind of a write-off, and that's not okay. But also on the men's spectrum, I know that I've been having a lot more conversations with men, and it's like they feel like they're so boxed in because, to be a man, you have to be stoic and you can't show. And that creates a challenge in relationships as well. I think that there's definitely too something different between an emotion and feeling, right? So like an emotion is what the mind tries to attach to the feeling. It's like, oh shit, okay, I'm feeling this thing. When was the last time I felt this? Oh, I felt this the last time when I had this breakup with so-and-so. Oh, well then this means it's bad. This means it's pain. This means it's sadness. And it's like, no. Hold on a second. Emotion doesn't, or the feeling doesn't necessarily have to be anything. It just is. It's an experience. And that's what this human experience is about, is feeling. And when you allow yourself to go deep within your body, like in yoga or some of these other practices, and you allow yourself to feel it just as it is in that moment, not attaching it to anything else, it has this ability to become, released, which is some of the things that we were talking about earlier.
So simply put, emotions are energy in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Energy can be calculated and measured in frequencies, in vibration. This entire universe, everything you perceive in this reality is a vibration. You can measure the hertz. The human being vibrates, a healthy human being, from 62 to 68 hertz. And hertz is basically like, to my understanding, one hop per second. So we're going 62 to 68 times per second. And things that we think are good versus things that are bad. Remember, we are in this world of duality, polarities, opposites, good, bad. That's how the mind likes to calculate everything. Like, this gives me pleasure, this doesn't. So I avoid what doesn't make me feel good, and I'm drawn towards pleasure. And essentially, the vibration of these lower, denser frequencies, shame is a 20, anger is somewhere like 80, and they're just low, and it makes us feel heavy. If you've ever been depressed, chronic fatigue, you're heavy with emotion. It's so hard to get up. Whereas if you experience love or bliss or ecstasy, it's like on 1,000, like, and you're just like, I love my life.
Yes, girl.
Because we're elevated, we have a higher frequency, we have good vibes, all these like sayings we have of, like, oh yeah, good vibes. I'm so high on that energy. It's like, well, yeah, you're lifting your frequency.
Yes, absolutely. I wonder if anybody's tuning in, by the way, feel free to drop us a chat on the side. Let us know who you are, where you are. I know that there's a couple people in the group, and I would love for them to be listening to this, because I know that this is, like you were talking about, chronic fatigue syndrome, and like so many people are seeking only on the physical realm to fix their chronic fatigue, but they're not really addressing the mental, emotional. So if you are online, please drop us a name and let us know who you are, where you are. And of course, as always, this is live, so feel free to ask away whenever we're discussing.
My earplug fell out. Yeah, and so one thing I wanted to continue on is like energy in motion. So if you imagine a river or a body of water, it needs to be moving to be beautiful and crystal clear. If you notice, the streams go downstream. Bacteria can't really grow in moving water. But as soon as you stagnate it and it becomes a pond, it becomes basically an environment that grows bacteria. So you can imagine the same thing in your body. When this energy, this emotion stops moving and you hold on to it, it begins to stagnate. And this is traditional Chinese medicine theory, is it stagnates the flow of qi, the flow of, prana in Ayurveda, of energy in the body. And that stagnation is what begins to create inflammation, what begins to create disease. And over time, it does become a diagnosable condition. But if you can go in and pinpoint that emotion that's stuck, and like it's like removing a boulder from like a dam. It's like taking down a dam. All of a sudden that water can flow, and it's like, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sweet. So the next thing that I remember you wanted to talk about was how kind of a little bit more on some of the other aspects that these emotions are showing up and how we begin to kind of navigate through the murky waters of our own turmoil, essentially.
So yeah, one thing I wanted to address is something called ACEs, adverse childhood events. So the CDC did a CASER study that involved 17, I got it in front of me right here, 17,500 adults. And they basically review their life before the age of 18 and checked for childhood events that were traumatic. And they narrowed it down to 3 categories of abuse. So if you experience physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, neglect, physical or emotional, if you did not receive love or attention from a family member, and also household dysfunction. So anything from mental illness in the family, from a mother being, seeing your mother being treated violently, divorce, substance abuse, even a family member being imprisoned. All of these have affected you on a subconscious level. These are traumatic events. And essentially they put together this study and they found out that they also put together a quiz. And if you rated 6 out of 10, you had a 600% chance, like higher chance of developing chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. If you had 2 or more, you are 100% likely to have an autoimmune condition. If you had 4 or more, you are, like 200% more to develop leaky gut or malabsorption of food. If you weren't nurtured by your mother, you are not nurtured by the food that you're eating, because subconsciously there's a program in place that, like, I do not deserve to be nurtured. I am not lovable. So you could be eating the most expensive organic food, but physically your body is not pulling those nutrients in.
And I think that is so important because so many people, they try to do everything they can to solve their issues and they're still not getting the results they need. And this isn't necessarily give you like okay, well, it's not you, it's just your genes or it's just your DNA or whatever. This is actually just helping you to better understand that there's more at play than we think, and which I think is incredibly important in our own self-healing and helping have compassion, because I personally know when I was going through my own skin issues, I was up in arms. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm doing everything right by the book and I still can't heal myself. And it's this kind of subtle underlaying thing that can be rooted to childhood. It can be rooted to our own, traumas, even in all the way through adulthood. It could be something that was related to in this moment or something in our past relationship, or these continuous patterns and habits that play out in our mind. And I think that's incredibly, incredibly important for people just to know that their healing journey is not just physical. It's not just mental. It can be emotional and spiritual as well.
And get this. This is why I love the gut. We're both gut gals, totally obsessed. These traumatic events that happen when we're young affect our microbiome. It'll kill out a lot of species, so we lack the diversity of our gut microbiome. And our gut bacteria also, they have a really important role in playing with gene expression. So these childhood traumas will alter the microbiome, and they will begin to activate problematic genes. So that's another way how these traumatic, woo-woo experiences of emotional experiences that we can't really see, they're not tangible, end up having a really physical effect years later.
Wow. Wow, that is so incredible. I love science.
Yeah.
That's what's something that like the mind, body, spirit, it's like, I think that's something both you and I draw from really well is that yes, we definitely are connected spiritually in our own practices and know that that's made a huge impact on even just where we are today. And of course, how much further we have to go, but also like the fact that now, like you were saying, the CDC did, people are starting to understand that this is not just something that's like woo woo hippie. It's actually showing up in scientific results, which is incredible.
Hmm. And just to bring it back to the gut, another thing is that there are certain bacteria that thrive on the vibration of emotion. So
Wow.
I was saying that shame is, vibrates at 20 hertz. Well, there's gut bacteria that actually love that vibration. And, then there's other gut bacteria that like positive vibration and happiness and joy. And so that's another way how cleansing your gut, doing a parasite or candida cleanse to get rid of those lower, denser, vibrating bacteria and fungus and bringing in and inoculating with healthy gut bacteria, your mood will be enhanced because they will seek out and make you create those emotional states that will feed them.
That makes sense. Like attracts like, right? And all things, shapes, and sizes.
Yeah, and a big part of big belief system of mine is that everything in this unseen realm is also manifested in the physical. So my unaddressed emotions, my traumas, manifest in a physical form as bad bacteria or parasites or candida. When I release that trauma, those bacteria won't be able to survive in me. I will have such a high vibration that they just can't live inside of me. And that's where Raymond Rife, have you heard of Raymond Rife, the Rife machine?
No, I haven't.
He's amazing. He basically found that you can use vibration to zap and kill cancer cells. You can zap away parasites. This is also the work of Dr. Hulda Clark. This is the parasite zapper. Essentially, you hook yourself up to these micros that send a frequency through your body. And basically, if you can imagine like glass, like a glass just shattering when you hear a certain frequency, like a really high pitched it begins to shake and just
Wow.
that
Wow.
is the power of vibration.
That makes sense because if you think about a lot of like the spiritual leaders, right? Some of the like they won't eat for days, and weeks and months. And so it's like there's so many different highly evolved spiritual people in whatever practice you're diving into, and they defy the laws of what it means to be human. And I do believe on like vibrational resonance that you're just vibrating so high that you can be almost like defy gravity in a way, for a slogan in that point. It's like if you've ever gone into a space and like you're vibrating really high and then you go into like a party or something and you just realize that like you're not really resonating. It's just like, man, this just doesn't really feel like my vibe. I feel really out of place, or like maybe there's a lot of drugs going on. You feel it, or like you walk in, people were just fighting. And even though they might not be saying anything, you walk in, you're like, oof, I don't know how this feels. I need to get out of here because it's just a lower energy vibration. So it's crazy how it's all connected to the gut and everything else as well.
It's like you just said, when you walk into that room, you can feel when someone just had an emotionally charged event. I use charge because there's an emotional electromagnetic charge to your heart field, which extends about 8 to 10 feet. Yeah. So your heart is not this, dinky little organ that just like pumps blood. It doesn't even pump blood. If you get into, this is a whole other topic, but structured water, it's structured water in your veins. That's a battery that's like moving water and blood through your body. Your heart is this sophisticated organ that is constantly sending out energy and information and pulling in energy and ideas and basically helping you to learn and remember and process this world. We're literally like heart beings, and there's a reason why in a lot of yoga we say like drop into your heart. Tantra is all about dropping into your heart. And yeah, when you walk into that room, you can feel the heart emitting that kind of information, and your heart instantly picks it up, and it's like, oh, whoa. So trust those feelings, trust those emotions. That's one of the first steps to healing emotional trauma and healing these emotions is allow yourself to feel without doubting that, without doubting yourself that what you're feeling is real.
And that's huge. I think that goes back to like gut instinct. You know, we have these feelings like gut instincts. It's your intuition. It was a gut feeling. It's like those things, you know, a lot of people are like, science is great. And I love science. And it definitely helps to make sense of this world in the logical realm. But also, like, it's not everything. And you can't explain, like, tell me how science, you know, tell me love, explain me scientifically love, explain to me in words what love is. It's like I can't tell you it. It's something I feel and it's beyond words, but it doesn't mean it's not real. And so helping people move out of the mind and into feeling, period. You know, like the mind is the emotion, feeling is the actual energy in motion, right? As you said. So it's like tune back into the feelings and really get to learn your own self. And through yourself, you'll be able to have better, you know, a stronger pull and belief in where you're trying to go and where you need to go and where you're supposed to go. I mean, so many people come to me and like ask me, like, I just can't get out of my head. I don't know the difference between my head and my heart. And it's like, well, it takes time, it takes practice. And one of the things I talked about this morning is having a personal routine. Get a personal routine down so that way you can every morning before you go connect out into the world, connect to yourself so that you can begin to know how you feel without all the distractions. So you can begin to clear away all of the, you know, everything that's pulling our attentions in one way, shape, or form and connect back to your gut, connect back to your breath, connect back to this present moment so that you can begin to fully feel what it feels like to be present instead of being distracted in one way, shape, or form or the other.
Yeah. I'm glad you said get back to your breath. Here's a hack for you that the ancient yogis knew. And this is why pranayama, breath work, is so profound and why you do it in part of hatha yoga or yoga in general. And when you take a deep breath into your abdomen, you stimulate your diaphragm, and your diaphragm is connected to your parasympathetic nervous system. All the nerves down here in your belly are connected to your parasympathetic nervous system. All the nerve endings in the upper portions of your lungs are connected to your sympathetic, which is fight or flight, you know, versus.
And most of us spend our time in our chest.
Yeah. And how your breath is connected to your thoughts. You cannot have a negative self-deprivating thought when you are in your parasympathetic nervous system, because you are calm, you're relaxed, you're in a natural heart state where creation and love and compassion exist. If you're up here, then you'll probably be thinking of I can't, I can't, I won't, I should, I could.
Not enough.
Not enough. All these like thoughts that spin in our head and you're like, I have no control of my mind. It's like, well, get control of your mind. Like, don't, you know, there's that saying of the mind makes a good servant, but a very poor master.
Yeah, I feel that definitely. Sweet. So what are some of the like, you know, this is a challenging topic, I think, for many people just to even begin to, it's also challenging as much as it is liberating, right? So it's like, okay, great. Like, yes, I have childhood trauma. Oh my gosh, that makes sense. Like now I can finally like not feel so bad. I think a lot of people have shame because they're unable to heal their bodies. But what are some of the things that people can do in order to be able to empower themselves with this knowledge?
Mm-hmm. So there's lots of solutions, and all of them tap into this like vibration energy level. So the the easiest and the most profound is, which one should I do first? I have a whole thing here. Basically, breath work, breathe. Like we're saying, just learn to get down into your belly, breathe. And then you can get into more advanced types of breath work, like Kapalbhati, which is like rapid breathing with the belly, pulling the belly in, or Bastrika, which is basically like pull your arms up, breathe deeply, and then exhale, pull it in, like, and you do that like 20 to 30 times, and basically you breathe with the entire portion of your lungs, and you kind of mimic like hyperventilating, but with the entire all the lungs. So you're doing the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, and it just floods your body with so much energy, so much prana, that, remember those highways of energy in your body that store your emotions, will just like blast open and break the dams down. And I had this actually happen in my yoga training. I was going through a very emotional time with my partner, with myself, and my life, and I had realized my mind did such a great job at tricking me and believing that I'm in the heart and I'm totally good. And, I'm expressing my emotions, but secretly it was still in control until I started to do the breath work. And all of a sudden I was hyperventilating. My entire body started shaking. My nervous system, something happens when it begins to reset and release, you shake. So my whole body started convulsing. My teacher came down to me, put my head down. He was like, lie down, breathe. And just the stream of emotion came down and crying. And I probably for like 10 minutes having this release that I had logically had no idea where it came from. But, once it happened, I was like, oh, wow, that was in there for a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what are some other things that is possible with our, yoga? Of course, both of you and I are yoga. That's going to help you for people who maybe can't sit still long enough, because I know that the monkey mind is definitely a thing. Yoga has been invented for thousands of years, and it removes emotions from the body by allowing you to tap into feel. And we both know the power of yoga. And I don't know about you, but that's kind of what got me started. Like, even around food, like, it was actually my yoga practice that helped me connect to my food, because I realized that, like, I didn't have a good yoga practice if I wasn't putting my body or the right food in my body in the best way.
Mm-hmm. So another one is something called emotion code. So this was developed by I forget his name, I'm sorry. It's in Japan. It's like a well-known therapy in Japan. And essentially through muscle testing, because your body goes stronger when it's around higher vibration, around truth, and grows weak when it's around lower vibrations, when it's around lies or something that's not serving you. If this is something that you're interested in, read the book Power versus Force. Essentially, they've mapped out all these emotions and given them frequencies. And what emotion code does is it pinpoints the emotions that you have stuck in your body through this little map. And say you identify that you have abandonment issues, and you can then ask the body of, like, was it first trapped in when I was 20 to 30? No. 10 to 15? Yep. Okay. When I was 3? Yep. Do we need more information? And basically you narrow it down to the moment it happened, what that emotion is. And then you get a magnet, a fairly strong magnet, and run it down your back, down along your spine, the top of your head, back. You can even do it to yourself and just do it around your head. Intention, I release this emotion, the emotion of abandonment, and you do it 3 times. And the reason the magnet goes down the meridian lines, because again, that's where our electromagnetic field is. That's where we're storing everything. And it basically just allows it to reset, release, let go. And the effects are sometimes just instant. If you have back pain or knee pain, you can ask, okay, where is this knee pain coming from? What emotion is stored in my knee? Can we release it? Yes. Okay. And it'll be like, oh, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. And
wow. So
I've had actually a coach here. Her name is Selena, and she does emotion code. And I didn't really know what it was when I was going for it. And we identified an emotion, insecurity. And it went back 7 generations. So some of this trauma that we're dealing with we did not bring into our life. We didn't choose it. We didn't make it in this lifetime. It was passed on from our ancestors. And we can see that in studies that's go back to the Holocaust, and the survivors of the Holocaust and their children's children, in their DNA, in their genetics expression, still holds that trauma. So I had this trauma of insecurity going back 7 generations. And I was like, insecurity, like, okay. And she's like, like, maybe not like insecurities of, I have a pimple, but life insecurities, not
enough food or not enough of life in general.
Survival, right? Like, yeah. And when she went to do it, she was explaining it. Like, yeah, sometimes it'll be like removing a pebble, and sometimes it'll be like removing a boulder. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to release insecurity. 2 with the magnet, and then 3, all of a sudden I was like, just cried for like 10 minutes, and she's rubbing my back like, yes, let that go. I'm like, ah. And as soon as it was done, whoop, like, oh, wow. And from then on, all these issues of insecurity, of lack, of not enough, of issues with money and finances and worth just disappeared. And I felt so light.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And just really honestly that's why we have all these different like healing modalities like Reiki and massage and Chinisang and acupuncture and acupressure, because it's energetic, and we're not just carrying our own karma and our own trauma and our own, it's ancestors and ancestors that have been dealing with the same type of issues that have been passed down because they never dealt with it. And that's why we have these limiting beliefs of like, in order to be a man, you have to be stoic and you can't show your emotions or whatever. It's like, that doesn't come from us. That's pre-programmed. That's conditioned. That's something that I think is also really important in our own healing journeys, is to remember that, like, yes, like you have to take responsibility for where you are today, and also remind yourself that it's not just you. There are so many other factors that come into play throughout the entire human experience of living on this earth.
It's incredible, because the healing you're doing for yourself is like when you go heal something like that, your parents will feel it. Your grandparents will feel it. They say something in, I think it's the Native American culture, that the healing you're doing right now is healing 7 generations behind and 7 generations ahead.
Well, that just goes back to vibration, right? It's like we're all one collective consciousness. We're one collective consciousness. When we rise our vibration, a lot of the clients that I'm working with privately right now, they're like, Amanda, like this woman even the other day, she said, we were at this funeral and I just went inside, and there was like, I went into my heart space and I just began to like really radiate and pulsate and vibrate out this love. And I'm like, you're not just changing your own internal experience, but you are changing the vibrations that's being sent out, and people are going to feel that, and then they're going to be healed. So it's like, Gandhi said it best. It's like, if you want to change the world, you start with yourself. Be the change. And it's so true. Like, you do not have control over what has happened. You do not have control over what is going to happen. What you do have control over is right now, and how you are right now, and the thoughts that you think, and the way that you are, and how you use your energy, whether you're taking it or giving it or whatever you're doing with it, is making an impact on those around you.
Like, there's all those studies where they measure how much crime is happening, and then the day 1,000 monks meditate, crime all over the world drops. And it's about, collectively raising the consciousness of everyone. And when you raise your own, you will indefinitely raise the people around you.
Yeah, and that's something too for anybody who's watching. Awaken communities are all over the world, and so I'm not sure if have you heard of Awaken? So basically, it's like it's a meditative community where somebody, they go into poor neighborhoods around the world, and they basically create meditation. So where once a week they all come in, and generally you sit, silent sitting meditation, and then you end up, there's like a vegan meal that's cooked after, and everybody just sits and harmonizes with one another. And they've seen that once these households of high vibration go into these communities, crime rates drop.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're all over the world. It's awakin.org.
That's amazing. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's probably one in BC for sure. So what else? Is there any other things that we've yet to cover on as far as helping to heal these traumatic experiences?
Okay, yeah. So my recent geek out is all about color therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So color has vibration as well, different wavelengths of color, and each trauma that we acquire has a color. And essentially, we are beings of white light. You hear that in the community a lot, right? Love and light, peace, high vibes, sending light. We are white light. Our DNA is emitting photons constantly. We are literally vibrating and emanating light all the time. And what happens is when we hold emotion, we hold color. We stagnate that flow of chi, of energy, and develop a condition, right? And so it's like they actually align with the chakra system. So if we have with sexual trauma, it'll be orange. It'll have an aversion to orange. Or if we have a decision we have to make, and we're kind of stuck in this zone, it's a yellow trauma. If we have resentment against someone, it's of the heart, so it's a green trauma. And I've been geeking out on Adam Bergstrom. That's ATOM, Adam Bergstrom. He's like this old Yoda looking man. And he's like, so much information. And he was sharing how you can begin to move those traumas by doing something called color recycling. And essentially, there's two things you can do. You can simply just imagine the colors in a certain order. So we can do it right now. Let's see, so I get it right. It's black, gray, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white. So when I said that, you instantly know what those colors are, and your mind went through those colors, and you began to recycle your colors. So if there's trauma in the orange, it began to move into the yellow or move into the green spectrum, and began basically to flow, to move. And another way I really started to do this lately is to wear the colors of the week on that day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and the weekend is like indigo purples, whites, pinks. And I had a yellow trauma. I did muscle testing, and I have chakra systems. That's why I keep looking up. I have the 7 chakras up, and I did yellow, and it was like, oh, I'm so weak. And I started to do color therapy I found yellow and dressed in yellow. It was like, oh, I hate myself in yellow. I'm so uncomfortable with this color because of course you're going to have trauma with that color. So you're going to avoid it. And I went back to it a couple days later, and it was gone. And now I really like yellow.
Wow. Wow. That's super powerful. Yeah. I'll have to check out my wardrobe and see what I have, what I don't have, and maybe get some more of that and think about what that could be leading to.
Color is like nutrients too. So if you find that you're attracted to a new color, it's providing you with a certain vibration that your body needs.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Anything else on your list of lovely tricks to help everybody out?
Well, I'm a big fan of yin yoga because it applies gentle acupressure, which also is kind of like acupuncture, except without the needles. And why this works is because in traditional Chinese medicine, we have meridians. And just like the nadi system in yoga, nadis are smaller little rivers where the meridians are like big energy highway channels. And so you have the liver, which is associated with anger. It's the organ that, processes anger and frustration and envy. So if you don't express your anger, you're going to stagnate your liver. And I have a fun story to share after with that. Lungs and large intestines is sadness and depression because they're all about letting go and releasing. If you're ever depressed, you're sighing out, you're trying to release and let go. And if you're not letting go, you can become constipated because you're holding on. If you ever get butterflies in your stomach, anxiety, worry, your stomach helps you process, and your spleen and your pancreas, worry and anxiety, mistrust. Kidney and bladder is fear. So if you ever, there's that saying, fear, being so scared that you're peeing yourself, it's the water element.
Mm-hmm.
The heart and the small intestines is cruelty, impatience, like fake joy, people who are like, I'm great, things are awesome. You're like, no, you're really actually very angry.
What's really going on?
Yeah. So these emotions run through our body through these meridians, and that run through these organs, and these organs process that emotion. And essentially, we want to have smooth flowing qi through our body. And holding, like acupuncture will like put a needle in that meridian, remove it, and then it's like that dam breaks, and it encourages the flow of energy. And you can do that with yin yoga as well, of like taking pigeon, which stimulates your kidney and your liver meridian, or do a side bend and that stimulates your gallbladder meridian.
Tai Chi and Qigong has been something that I've been getting into a lot lately, and that's been incredibly healing. I've definitely felt a big difference with that as well. And they talk a lot about, the Chinese song and stuff like that is all from the same origin, same roots. So any kind of like slow, mindful movement-based practice, I feel like can be very, very beneficial.
Yeah. And so I had the most recent traumatic event in my life, and I didn't even realize, like, this year was a really big change. I finally came back from 9 months of travel, came home. I was in India for 4 months, and I knew I had candida. I knew I had parasites. All my symptoms started coming up of leaky gut, autoimmune conditions, and just hay fever. I was just like me 10 years ago. I was like, I don't like this. I have candida. And I began to cleanse. And then I also got some hair tissue mineral analysis back. So it basically HTMA, and it showed that I had heavy metal toxicity. I had mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and I had parasites. I had like 3 huge things that I was to deal with. which to me represents unexpressed emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I start to cleanse physically, full on with the Candida cleanser, parasites, and at the same time I was going through a breakup, and at the same time I lost all my jobs. I did, and at the same time I came home to my storage unit that I had all my belongings in got stolen. It got broken into when I was traveling, so all my belongings gone, all my security of my jobs, paying the rent gone, my partner of 3 years gone, and all this crap in my body to deal with. So heavy, dense energy, like crazy. And at the midpoint somewhere, all of a sudden, my face started to break out in this leather red skin. It was so hot for a month. I was allergic to everything: fermented foods, bone broth, chocolate. Oh my God, my lips would blister. And it was just so much heat. Like you could put your hands here and it was hot. And I was doing everything I knew, like when I go down hard because my body is trying to show me that there's an emotion that I'm not addressing. So I'm throwing everything physical, I'm getting supplements. I'm like, is it zinc? Is it that I don't have enough zinc?
Up in there.
Yeah, you need zinc.
Glutamine, collagen.
I'm like, I'm allergic to glutamine. Okay, collagen. Maybe it's gelatin. Just going crazy. And then finally one day I'm sitting in meditation and just touching my face and realizing how hot it is and how much it hurts. And up to this point, I had been sleeping with ice packs. I was like sleeping with ice packs because it was so hot, and even down my neck. It felt like leather, like lizard skin. And so I'm sitting there like, am I gonna have lizard skin for the rest of my life? Like, oh my gosh. And a voice inside of me said, feel this. Now you have the ability to feel your pain.
Yeah.
Like physically.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, I am so angry. And I allowed myself to feel that anger, feel that pain. I was so angry at myself. I was so angry at my partner. I was so angry at whoever broke into my apartment. It was just like, ah. And anger, unexpressed anger, suppresses your liver's ability to detox. The blood stagnates there. And when the liver can't detox, it's going to come out your skin. Why did my body choose to push things out of my face? Because that's where I see it every single day. It's not going to show it on my leg because I would just hide it and be like, whatever it is,
Yeah.
Right? That's what we tend to do. But if it's on your face, it's like, see me now.
Yep.
Like you cannot hide this any longer. You can't avoid this any longer. And then finally I cried, like really cried, and allowed the cold tears to soothe my face. And within 2 minutes, it didn't burn anymore. The heat started to go down. And in the morning, it was completely gone. And ever since then, I keep getting it better, 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 better. All my food allergies and intolerances are gone. And knowing that, the aha moment was, okay, I am dealing with a lot of anger. I need to really up my liver supports. Yep. So I started to really seriously up my my liver supports, and doing coffee enemas every single morning, taking Pectosol C to bind with heavy metals, constantly having a crock pot going of chaga, reishi, mushroom tea with dandelion, milk thistle, turmeric, adaptogens, going crazy with adaptogens, nettle tea. I drank nettle tulsi licorice tea, like a liter for, what is it, quarts? I don't know American, for 1 liter a day at least. And my body began to respond. I began to heal physically, but then also continually address the emotions by asking myself honestly every day, what emotion am I feeling right now? And then wait 10 seconds, feel it. And the beautiful thing about emotion is as soon as you feel it, you heal it and let it go.
Yeah. I'm, same thing. Mine was on my face as well. And it was related to a lot of leaky gut, which is often connected to inability to digest, which is connected to worry, which is connected to fear. And I was in a huge state of worry. And that was pivotal. And self-worth also was pivotal. And it wasn't until I began to really accept that, I was doing everything right on the outside and that I still wasn't able to heal, and wondering what was going on deeper. Why is it on my face? The same with me. It was like, why on my face out of anywhere? Like, and you're right, because if it was my neck or my skin or my elbows or my knees, it's like I wouldn't address it. And in the moment I was so upset that, here I am, this like health coach, and like I'm doing all the right things and I'm not healing. And how come other people can eat whatever or do whatever and it doesn't affect them? And I'm like trying everything and it's not working. And it was, again, just anger, also worry, also fear, like these issues that I wasn't dealing with. These, oh no, I'm good. Everything's good. Everything's perfect. But I was really, really afraid. I was afraid that, whatever it was that was trying to keep me away from really moving and stepping into my highest and best self.
Mm-hmm. One thing I love is, or a recommendation, if this is like something that you're just getting into, these emotions and how they manifest in your body physically, Louise Hay has a really great book. Oh, it's backwards, but You Can Heal Yourself. Ooh, knock, leer. But yeah, you can heal yourself. And essentially, it has all these physical symptoms listed, and then a thought pattern associated with that symptom, and then the new thought pattern. And for example, one year I was traveling and living in New Zealand with like 8 other roommates. Yeah, 8 roommates. It was terrible. But you cannot find a house with less than 5 bedrooms in New Zealand, in Wellington. It was insane. And one day I wake up and the dishes are dirty. The dishes were always dirty. Like the roommates would have parties the night before and like use every single dish. So when you wake up, it's just like this plethora of dishes, dirty dishes. First day I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so angry. I hate what I'm seeing, right? The next day we cleaned the whole house. So I was like, okay, next morning I'm going to wake up. I'm going to make breakfast. It's going to feel so great. And I wake up, same thing again. Like, oh my God, I'm so angry at what I'm seeing. Literally 2 minutes later, pink eye, boop, boop, both eyes.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Yeah, and it was so bad. And then I had this book and I looked in, I'm like, what the heck, what does pink eye mean? And it says, anger and frustration, not wanting to see. Wow. And I'm like, yeah, I was so angry at what I'd seen that my eyes literally like.
Yeah. And wow, that's so powerful. I think this is beautiful. I think it's the road to healing, which is why, like I always say, like, I don't heal anyone, like the clients, whoever it is, whether you're working on them for massage or with health coaching or whatever it is, it's like, you got to be on your own journey and you got to be willing to do the work and you got to be willing to feel and you got to be willing to go far back into all the trauma and all the things that we maybe have been avoiding for so long in order to really, begin to take responsibility, not only for ourselves, but for our ancestors and everyone else, and we got to feel it. We got to really move forward. And we have so many tools. I mean, even just, we've been giving tools, from what have been passed down for traditions to now, newer science-backed methodologies, which I think is really incredible. So I definitely hope that this is kind of something that can give people an idea of like, yes, there are so many other aspects to look at whenever you're going through your own personal journey. And there's so many different ways to begin to heal. And it's not just with supplements. It's definitely not with prescription medicines, unless of course it's an acute based thing and it's absolutely necessary. But there are so many different ways to begin to heal. And if you want it bad enough, you absolutely can, because that's what we want. We want to vibrate high at a great resonancy. We want to feel good. We want to look good. We want to, all of these things are everyone wants. And there's so many ways for us to help get us there. And at the end of the day, you're not alone. That's what the whole Food That Fuels movement is all about. It's like, you're not alone. Post up in there. Tell us what's going on. I'm sure one of us, there's many other health coaches that I have in there as well. It's like, we'll help you out. We'll just share what we did or what worked for us or what didn't work for us. And I know that you do a lot of work with the Candida cleanser, which is incredible. A lot of people are getting a lot of amazing results from skin-based issues to, hormonal-based issues to gut-based issues. Of course, it's all connected. And so that's incredible. What are some other things that you're involved in and that you're moving forward in 2018? Where can we find you and kind of stay connected with all this wealth of knowledge that you continue to dive in and impress me? Before we chatted, she told me about 3 different things that I had no idea about. I'm like, wow, I'm just excited for this call as everybody else is.
Well, I'm currently working towards doing retreats with women that involve tantric exercises, that involve plant ceremonies, so cacao, hape. I like to work with those. And And lots of yoga, like really giving you the tool belts. All these things we're talking about, body, mind, spirit, emotional, like just dumping all my information on you. So you have this, you're like in this empowered state where you can go after anything that's ailing you, any of your ailments, with the body, with the emotions, with the mind, with prana, with breath. So yeah, meditation retreats.
Woohoo! When is the first one, and where's it going to be?
That's something that's still in process. I would love to do them on Bowen Island here, just off the Vancouver coast, and looking towards spring, early summer.
Sweet. That sounds exciting. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to find you. And do you have anything else, any other social channels or anything that people can get more information on? I know you have I know you don't do a lot of like promoting on your Instagram, but you still have an Instagram. So if people are inspired by your story and want to tag it or follow your journey, because you travel all around the world as well. That's actually how we met.
Yeah.
I was in India doing an acro yoga jam, which was awesome. Just goes to show you how amazing acro yoga is.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, I'm currently going through rebranding. So all my social media is kind of like on a hiatus, I would call it. But I am Aga Postawska on Instagram, and Core Conscious Living on Facebook, and that's going to change soon.
Okay.
So
we'll have you back on before then, so people can stay connected.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I definitely feel that I even have more tools to look at. The color therapy. I have never done that before, and also that magnetic thing. What was it called again? Tell me one more time.
Okay, so let's recap.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's emotion code, and that's using the magnet. So pinpointing the emotion that's stuck using muscle testing and doing a magnet. You can just type in emotion code, and on your Google search, it'll bring up a bunch of stuff.
Sweet.
Then we've got breath work like Bastrika, pranayama, shamanic breath work, anything that pulls in energy, gets you breathing. We also have the Reiki, the therapeutic touch, acupuncture, yin yoga. And we forgot to mention this self-love. Love yourself every day, and here's a little biohack that sidesteps the mind, because the mind, if you just do affirmations in the mirror going, I love you, you are beautiful, you're going to feel like an idiot because you don't believe them. And your mind's going to go, bullshit, because yesterday you cheated and had chocolate cake. It's always cause and effect.
Yeah.
So you go, Aga, I love you so much because you're wearing this really cool kimono. And the brain goes, she is wearing a kimono. Oh, I do love myself. So 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening, look yourself in the mirror, say, I love you because I'm brushing my teeth. I love you because, and say your name. And you're going to train your mind to love yourself. And when you love yourself, you automatically, by default, heal emotional traumas of not feeling worthy, not being good enough, having shame around your body. So whatever part of your life you're having issues with, there's a negative belief system in place. If it's finances, if it's always attracting shitty partners, always having a terrible boss, washing the dishes, not liking to wash the dishes. There's something there. So play around with mirror work for sure. I love you because.
I love me because. I'm going to do that one tonight for sure.
Color therapy. Look into color therapy, light therapy. All this stuff works. And
acupuncture, massage.
You can heal yourself.
Yep.
Let's see, so many things. And I would definitely recommend the documentary on Gaia TV called E-Motion.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And that's everything. I could talk for days. There's so much.
Yeah, there is a lot. And, I know it can be overwhelming for people. So just take it in bite-sized chunks, like that's the one thing that's so great, I think, about so many different health practitioners. It's like, we only got here because we were sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and we're still navigating the terrain. It's just like yoga. Students come to me like, does it ever get easier? And I'm like, yes, some things will be easier, but there's always ways to find, challenge in the things that are easy. And so as we continue to learn about ourselves, we'll continue to share about our own journeys and our own healing journeys. And I'm sure we'll have much more of these. Hopefully we can get the Facebook working. I don't know why it didn't work. I had an interview last week and it worked fine. So, but we'll work on that. And
the important thing to remember is that, like, say you dealt with all your past traumas and you've dealt with your ancestral traumas and you're like in this perfect state of samadhi, you're still living and there's still things that are happening every single day. So it's not like you're ever going to be free of your emotions. You're just going to learn how to navigate through them.
Yeah, and how to not get so caught up and tied up in them, and how to, like the Buddha, you know, like the path, walk the middle road, right? That's all Buddhist is just about. Like when it's high, it's great. When it's low, it's okay, but don't attach to either one. Just allow yourself to feel the sensations of the tides as they come and they go.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to having you back on next time we end up chatting about whatever it is that's coming up in our lives. And I'll be sure to be posting a lot about, after the new year, about these goddess retreats to get more of this divine feminine energy collectively together, centered around healing and self-love. And I know that I could definitely use a lot of that myself. Always, right? Always trying to continue to evolve in the self-love train and the self-care train. So thank you so much. Thank you for helping host this and sharing your amazing insight and your incredible wealth of knowledge as always.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. You find one thing that excited you the most and go for it.
Yeah,
That's
even
my
if
tip.
it's just
Yeah.
researching it, you know, even if it's just like, oh yeah, that light therapy, that sounds great. How can I get started? Like bite-sized pieces, bite-sized
Mhm.
pieces.
Yeah.
Sweet. All
All right.
right.
Thanks, and see you later.
See you.
Bye.